Hello everyone and welcome to our Being a Business Student webinar. My name is Laura and I work at the University of Chichester in the outreach team. So I help people when they're looking for universities and tell you a little bit more about Chichester itself. Today we're going to talk about our business courses and some of our students' experience on their business courses. I've got two lovely students with me today, so if you guys could introduce yourself.
Hi there, my name's Edward. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a third year student currently on business and marketing.
Hi, my name's Amit. I do events management and finance. I'm on my third year and my pronouns are she, her.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. So we'll get started with the webinar and we'll go through some questions that will give people a little bit more kind of information about business courses at Chichester. So researching university, some people watching might be in that stage of looking into different universities, choosing where to go. So Edward, I'll start with you. What steps did you take before joining university?
One thing that I actually did through my sixth form is we went to a lot of university conferences, and I found that really helped. They're on all the time, so just make sure that you research them, because you get to see a wide range of universities and you experience it firsthand. They talk to students that have come along, but also research into open days and applicant days that universities are running, especially for those that you've shortlisted. That's the best thing you can do, I think, is to actually go to the university, even if it's just a campus tour, and visit and get a real good feel. That's what I would say beforehand.
Perfect. Amazing. Yeah, I think going to the kind of big events where there's lots of universities and different stands, it means you can speak to lots of different universities in one place. And then exactly like you say, open days, campus tours, sounds very kind of cringy, but sometimes you go to a campus and you can really get a feel for it and kind of see yourself there. So that's going to help you a lot in your research. Amit, I'll come to you for the next question. How did you feel about first going to university?
At first I was really excited, and then I think coming up to the point where I had to go to university, I got really nervous and really anxious. But I think because I came here with my best friend as well, so it really helped to know that I had someone. But yeah, it was really nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie, but it was really fun.
Yeah, good. There's always that kind of mixture of emotions, isn't there? Definitely. So I'll stick with you, Amat, for the next question. What would be your top tip when deciding on which university to go to?
I think research, not only the university, but the course as well, is really important to know. Like, a lot of the times people don't really look for the modules, but I think that's really important, looking at the specific modules that each university does for first year, second year, and third year. I think that was a really deciding point for me when I chose Chichester, looking over the actual course that I was going to do. So yeah, research.
Perfect. Yeah. So a lot of universities will do kind of the same course, but even within those courses, modules can be quite different. So definitely that's a really good point, looking into what modules there actually are on the different courses at different unis. So our top tips that we like to give out, if you're thinking of commuting to university, a good tip, it sounds quite obvious, but test run the journey to the university. If you're going to be doing that trip quite often, you want to make sure that is a doable trip. Even if you're moving to university, you want to make sure that the trip is fairly straightforward, that you are able to get to university and home if you need to. As Edward already said, kind of visit the local area, come to open days, so you really get a feel for yourself in the kind of campus and the local area around the university. If you're studying at a university for kind of 3 or 4 years, it's important that you like the area around the university as well, so that there's bits to do for you there and it's an enjoyable area to study in. And most importantly, ask questions. Never feel afraid to ask a question. There's no such anything as a silly question. Wherever you go, maybe write down a couple of questions that are important to you. Maybe what's the atmosphere like? What are the local supermarkets like? Anything. Going with that list will mean you won't forget to get all the information that you're kind of looking for, and you'll come away from a trip with lots of information about that university. So getting started, as we said, a lot of people watching this webinar might be in that phase of kind of coming before university. So looking to see what students' experience at university has been like. So Edward, if you don't mind, I'll ask you, what was your first week at university like?
Nerve-wracking, to put it simply. Very nerve-wracking. I was very nervous when I started, but it did get better because the course actually offered an induction week, so you go along and you get a good feel of it. But I mean, all I can say is really it does get better. You do get settled in as soon as you meet people, and like you said, if you get yourself out there. But I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it actually was.
Yeah, I think that's always the case. I think everyone's in the same boat with that. It feels a lot scarier than it is actually when you get here. So that's really nice to hear that it kind of got a bit smoother as you came. Amet, how did you find settling into student life?
I think, like Edward said, at first it was really nerve-wracking, but I think you get eased into it. I think sometimes people forget, even though I did come down here with a friend, I didn't know anyone else, and I think people forget that no one really knows anyone. So everyone's on the same boat. Everyone wants to make friends. So it's really easy, especially down here, since it's a smaller university. It's really easy to just make friends everywhere. So also going to student like SU events and all of those things really help to meet new people as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Chichester is definitely a smaller university than others. And there's a lot of kind of mixing between courses, and everyone gets to know everyone here, which is nice. So I'll ask you both for this one, maybe Edward first. What does a typical week look like for you at the moment with lectures, kind of hours of lectures and stuff like that?
So currently I have 3 lessons a week. Obviously that does alternate by semester, but the rest of it is then they call it personal study time. So you get plenty of time to go away and do your own personal study in the library. But yeah, that was what I'd say, 3-4 hours top, 3-4 lessons a week tops.
Yeah. How long are those kind of lessons usually?
They last up to, they're scheduled to last up to 3 hours, but they never actually do. You do have a lot of time to go away after and study.
Fantastic, thank you. And Amet, how about you? What does your typical week look like?
Mine is the same as well. So we get 3 seminars a week, and the rest is just personal study. Especially in our 3rd year, I am in the library a lot. But yeah.
Great. So you've got a balance of lessons and kind of time to yourself as well. That's always good to hear. So when we talk to people about coming to university, a big conversation is kind of different concerns people have. It's completely natural to come to uni with concerns. Some of the top ones we have is looking after money, moving away from home, living in halls, making friends. So we're here to kind of ease that stress a little bit with some of those. So looking after your own money, for some people, it might be the first time you've ever had to do that. So we have the student money team on both campuses at the university to help with kind of budgeting, finances, and also things like bursaries as well. If you're really struggling for money, there are kind of different pots of money people in different situations can dip into. So never let that worry you too much. And uni is a great way to kind of learn how you like to budget your money as well. So you're going to come out with a lot of new skills like that. Living in halls and making friends. So halls at Chichester are again on both campuses, and we have some off campus as well. It will be all types of people in all different courses. So there's a really nice opportunity to make friends there as well as on your course. And for people commuting as well, on when you start doing your journey, you'll notice different people travelling in together. And we'll also have applicants' social media groups so that you can start to meet people before coming to university. Coping with the workload. So we're going to touch a little bit on exams and assessments with our students just to see kind of how feasible it is with assessments across the year. But again, there's loads of different support groups at the uni for things like academic skills, tutors with time for tutorials, so meetings like one-to-one to discuss different things, and the disability and dyslexia service can help put into place any extra needs that you might have during exams, so like extra time or anything like that. So on that same topic of moving away from home and making friends, Amit, so I'll come to you first. How did you feel about moving away from home? Because I know you lived in student accommodation.
Yeah, so I moved from London. I think at first I was really excited, obviously, moving away from my parents, being free or independent. But I think again, just before moving away, it all started to hit me. I'm like, I don't know how to live by myself. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But it was okay because obviously I had my parents supporting me. I always would call them all the time and everything, so it was okay at the end. So.
Perfect. Yeah, that's one that we have a lot is people come to uni and kind of forgetting that they do have that support network at home, whether that's family, friends. It's important to kind of keep that whilst you're coming to uni and meeting lots of new people and stuff as well. So Edward, how did you feel about making new friends and meeting new people at uni?
Well, can I just say I was exactly the same as well. I was really nervous. That was probably the biggest thing for me moving away from home. Um, it's kind of weird. I got to a point where I was almost at peace with it, if that makes sense. Like I was almost just accepted the fact that it was going to happen. But in terms of making friends, I mean, I was lucky. I got a very nice flat. So I found it to be good, obviously, in the end. But I guess just, be reassured, as you've mentioned, that it is a big student halls and there's, as you said, a lot of people on a lot of different courses and a lot of different interests. So you're guaranteed to find people that you'll get along with. That's what I'd say to that.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. Thank you. I'm glad your experience was the same as well, where there's lots of people around and there's going to be lots of people that you can chat to and meet in lots of different places
Oh,
at
yeah.
university. And that will go for different universities as well. It'll be very similar, not just Chichester. I think as daunting as it is, there's always the opportunity to kind of find your people. So, coping with exams and essays. So, I know you guys are on similar courses, and business in general might be quite similar across different assignments, but I'll ask you both just in case. So, Amit, what type of assessments do you have in your subject?
Because I do finance, I get a mixture of both assignments and exams. So we get around 2 assignments for each module, and then I have an exam for each finance module as well.
Perfect. And Edward, how about you? Is it kind of similar, different?
Fairly, yeah. So because I'm on a marketing course, it is a lot of the assignments that we get are just essays or reports. So mainly coursework based. But I have had a handful of exams through my time at university, because obviously some modules it's unavoidable, you have to take them. But yeah, it's mostly coursework based on my course.
Fab. So it sounds quite varied.
Yeah.
Amit, so I'll come back to you. How do you prepare for these assessments?
I think I really like the fact that we get around a week or two before each semester finishes, just to kind of make sure everything's done and we have our own time to actually do them. But we do get the assessments at the start of the semester, so it's really easy to just keep going and keep working on it throughout the whole semester instead of just doing everything last minute. But for the exams, it's really helpful that you can just kind of ask your seminar leader or your lecturer for help, just email them and ask them. But we do also get access to past exam papers, so it's really good to have those as well.
Fantastic. And is that the same for you as well, Edward?
Yeah, much of the same. All I would say is as soon as the deadline is released, actually make a note of it, and then, which surprisingly is easily done. You don't really do it that much, but make a note of it, and then, like you said, just work away with it, and use one-to-ones that your lecturers offer as well. They're really helpful.
Perfect. And Edward, sticking with you, how many assessments or how often do assessments pop up?
Well, that depends on the module. It will usually be anywhere between 1 or 2 for a module. For instance, it could be a presentation and a report. But I mean, as Amets has said, there's a good time scale for them. So in terms of when they pop up, they may all pop up at the start of the semester, but you've just got to manage your time carefully with that.
Perfect. So that's good that you get kind of those deadlines in advance, that you can work at those over time. So we've touched on it a little bit, but different universities, as you're looking into them, should be kind of shouting from the rooftops the different support that they can offer you. So on the screen, there's just a few examples of the ways that we can support you at the University of Chichester. So we have lots of mental health help, we have the You in Mind scheme, we have You Talk counselling, and we have student wellbeing advice. But we also have things like student money advice. So like I said before, helping with budgeting. We have the student health service. So we have a nurse on campus, and we have professionals that are able to give you information about different health kind of things that you might have at university, or even if you're just wondering. We have the academic skills team, so essay writing, presentation skills, they can help you with those. We have a chaplaincy here. As you can see in the back, we've got the chapel on campus, which is multi-faith, and we have lots of multi-faith prayer rooms all over campus as well. So that goes for both campuses with the University of Chichester. And we have the disability and dyslexia service as well. So these people can be contacted even before you start university to kind of think about how we can accommodate for you. And it's not just how we can support you, but how you want to be supported as well, which I think can make quite a bit difference in a university journey. So we're kind of coming to the end of the webinar now. So I'll ask you both this one. Amets, what would you say to someone considering studying a business course?
I would say if you like anything related to business, just do it, because the good thing about University of Chichester is you get to have a feel about every course on the business institute. So you get some marketing modules, you get some finance modules, and then you get the chance to stop over your course if you ever feel like you need to. But yeah, I would say definitely do it, and don't be afraid to be yourself, really.
Amazing. And Edward, what would your advice be?
I would say there's business is such a wide field, and there's so many courses offered by this university. I think we're both on joint honours degrees. So, you know, the fact that there's, as you mentioned, there's a foundation year. You can come into the business school, take the first year, and then see what you like. And if you don't like that degree, route, then you can actually change for the second year onto a route that suits you more. So if you're not actually sure what area of business you want to study, there's always that foundation year that you have, as Amets has mentioned. So, you know, with such a wide range of degrees, there's always something going to be there for you.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you both so much for that advice. I'm sure that'll help a lot of students kind of watching and figuring it all out. And that was a nice summary of your time kind of here as well. But is there anything either of you want to add about maybe favourite bits of uni, Amets?
Maybe I would say definitely attend, like I said, any events that are happening at the uni, especially Freshers' Fair. Even if you're in your second year, third year, whatever it is, you can still go get some goodies and then just have a good time. It's really fun to go to the Freshers' Fair.
Perfect. Yeah, and it's like we said before, you can get involved with as much or as little as you'd like while you're at uni. So it's a nice way to kind of get involved. Even if there's things like sports teams and societies you might want to sign up to, you can do that at Freshers' Fair as well. But all year long, there's kind of lots of different clubs and societies that are available alongside a lot of courses. Edward, anything else you'd like to say to sum up your time?
Yeah, much of the same. I've just enjoyed the social element of it. And I'd say more of the same, you know, all the events that are run by the SU in the week, take advantage of them, even if it's just the societies. That will help you in the long run.
Fantastic. So on the slides here, we do have our website, and you can find loads more information about clubs and societies on there. So that is chi.ac.uk. We've got a couple of emails here as well. So the outreach team that I work on, that works with kind of getting people into universities when you're looking at that application stage, that is outreach@chi.ac.uk. And we also have study here at chi.ac.uk for things like open days and events and stuff like that. But that'll be the end of our webinar today. Thank you to everyone watching, and thank you so much to our lovely business students. Hopefully this has helped give you a little bit more advice on looking for universities, maybe University of Chichester in particular. So we'll leave it there. But thanks, guys.